Hey guys, it's Brandon. Welcome to a 15-minute game. I am playing Doran Man from Romania, 1965. So a little bit lower rated than me, but that doesn't really mean much, seeing as I've now chosen to play a Queen's Gambit Declined 7 move that is made very popular in professional chess by Levon Aronian, and something I don't know anything about, this opening. In fact, this may be the first time I've played it on video. Okay, e3 is a little strange. It's sort of closing off this bishop. Usually you put that bishop on g5 or f4 in the Queen's Gambit Declined for white. So this is sort of like a Kali system, I guess. Not totally sure. So, alright. So let's castle. And standard Queen's Gambit Decline moves. I could play the orthodox variation with takes, knight d5, and e5. So takes, knight d5, takes. That would be okay. Let's see. So takes, bishop takes, knight d5. Actually, kind of loses a pawn at this point. So c6 first, maybe. Yeah, let's see. The orthodox variation of this used to be the main line, sort of the only thing that was played back in the early 1900s, where black would take on c4, play knight to d5, and play for e5. But it sort of went out of fashion because people felt like it didn't really give very many winning chances for black. It was just sort of super solid, but drawish. So I'm thinking about a move like Queen c7 here to try to play c takes and then e5. D takes c4 and then e5 to try to free my position. I could play d takes and then c5. I'm a little concerned though. Let's see, if I play Queen c7, well, okay, it's a good square for the queen. If he plays bishop b2, takes, pawn takes, e5, pawn takes, knight takes. Is there any discoveries with this knight? That's the question. So I'm calculating here, taking on c5, whichever retakes, and then playing e5. So e5, pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes. There's no discoveries with the knight because this bishop is unprotected. So let's try that. And the reason I'm first taking on c4 is so I don't get an isolated pawn on d5. If I just played e5 right away, he could have gone through some exchanges that would have given me an isolated pawn on d5. Which is okay in some positions, but I'm not a huge fan of the isolated pawn. Maybe he can play d5 here. Yeah, maybe he can play d5. I didn't really consider that. At which point, c takes, c takes. I don't have e4 right away. He's got enough coverage of e4. So what I'm trying to do with this e5 move is free my pieces a little bit, give this bishop the diagonal to come out on. What would be interesting here would be if he played d5, yeah. can't play e4 yet. But if I play bishop to b4, I could threaten e4. Bishop b4, I'm threatening to take the knight and then play e4, forking the bishop and the knight. Is there some other way that I can get coverage of the e4 square? I don't know. Takes, pawn takes. I don't think I want that. Takes, knight takes. Bishop b4. You might play knight e4. That's okay. It would also give me a chance to play rook to e8 to try to push e5 again. So my idea here is, of course, to take the knight and play e4. So maybe he has to play... Maybe he has to play e4 himself. If he plays e4 now, that's okay for me, I think. Blocks in this bishop. Maybe he can move. Maybe he can move this this bishop back, say to c3. He could play something like queen c2. Just defending e4 again, at which point probably I'll play rook to e8. So I'm fighting for this e4 square now, and it's a tactical threat, so he's got to do something about it, I think, unless I'm just miscalculating. So he's thinking here. Okay, I don't think this was good, because I think I get this fork now. So I guess he just missed this threat. So it seems that I've won a piece here. It was a little bit of a cheapo tactic, but sometimes those work. Can I just take this pawn? No, if I take the pawn, he plays bishop here. So queen takes, and then bishop to a6, skewering the queen and the bishop. It would still be two pieces for a rook, but I don't see why I shouldn't just go up my piece here. He does have a passed pawn here that could be dangerous, but maybe I can try to attack it. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to have to try to attack it at some point because it's just too strong there. Alright, so he decides to hang on to the bishop. I can't really argue with that. His bishops are strong. Wow! Taking with the pawn. I did not expect that. Expected queen takes. But he is controlling the e4 square in this way. So I do have to... figure out a way to deal with this pawn. He's going to have a strong center. And I have to untangle the rest of my pieces. Maybe I'll play b6 or c5, b6, just so he can't. Maybe he wants to play king to g1 and rook to here, and these bishops could be annoying on my king. So maybe I play c5, and then b6, bishop b7 to try to free my bishop. Or just b6 first, and bishop a6, bishop b7, then c5. So probably he's going to try to attack my king, being down a piece now, is my thought here. Yep, here it comes. He's going to come with rook to g1, and maybe I just step out of this pin. Maybe he's going to try to double on the g file, play something like queen g1. So queen g1, how am I going to meet that? I'll think about it after. Maybe just rook g8. Knight h5. That's a possibility. Alright, so he's putting pressure on h7. Maybe I'll just play h6. And I'm thinking about the move knight d5. Knight d5 would threaten either knight or bishop on f3. Oh, maybe I have. No. Yeah, he cut out that idea. Knight d5. Maybe it's a good square for my knight anyway. He may move the rook. I'm not sure. Gotta be careful here. This pawn is sort of not helping my position. Maybe I'll play queen e8 to e6, attacking this rook. With tempo on the rook. It's important for me to keep this blockaded. That's for sure. I could also play queen to e5, just pinning this rook, because the bishop is unprotected. Okay. Maybe he wants to play e5 here. So if I play knight e5, f4, knight e5, f4, knight takes. Let's see, e6. Queen e6, rook g7. Queen e6. let's just play queen e6 and gain a tempo. And then maybe I'll play knight to e5. If bishop takes e5, I think that's okay for me. Also hitting this pawn. Oh, that's interesting. Can I play knight g5? Knight g5 here looks very dangerous. Hitting the rook, hitting f2. What's he doing about knight g5? If rook e2, then I have bishop takes e3 check. Or do I? Not really. Because bishop takes, and then rook takes. Yeah, I could do it. I think that might work. Alright, rook e2, bishop takes e6 check. Bishop takes e6, queen takes e6. Rook takes queen, knight check, king moves, picks up the... But then maybe my knight doesn't get out. I don't know, I'll have to look a little bit deeper if he plays rook to e2. But I think rook to e2 is basically the only move here. Hard to tell. Rook e2. Okay, rook e2. Bishop takes e6, check. Bishop takes e6, queen takes e6, rook takes e6. Oh, clever. He's defending by checkmate threat on g7. So if I move this knight, he has mate on g7. But what if I just play knight to here? Renewing the threat on the rook. Rook e2, bishop takes e2. Or knight takes e2? I don't know, it's hard to say. So I'm renewing the threat on the rook by blocking out the bishop's access to the g7 point. Also, I could just play knight takes f2. If he plays rook e2, I could play knight takes f2 check, and then queen takes h3. So this is getting a little tactical, and maybe I hope I'm not making any errors in my calculation here. So I'm threatening the rook. I'm threatening knight takes f2 check, picking up this rook, which would be undefended if this rook moved away. But he can slide his rook away on the third rank now. But if he does that, then I will have bishop takes e2, bishop takes f4 check, or even knight takes bishop takes e4, or even knight takes e4, threatening a discovery, which would be pretty lethal because the king is getting into a little bit of trouble here on the diagonal. So he's played this queen g2 move, but the king doesn't have anywhere to go because of this nice bishop on this diagonal. So he's in a bit of a pickle here. I feel like my position is just much better. Spectator hopping on. Somebody named Dom Nalook. It's getting tough. If he plays bishop takes f6, then do I have to play queen takes f6? Bishop takes f6. If he plays bishop takes f6, maybe... Okay, so now I can pick up this rook here with check and then pick up the rook. I think, unless there's some tactics that I'm missing here. So now queen takes, and then this rook is hanging. And this person is speaking in some language that I don't know, so maybe it's a buddy of this guy. So I'm just up a rook here in this position, and a great bishop on the diagonal. So a very pleasant position. You know, it's not totally clear right now because he still has the center and maybe some attacking chances, but I should be okay in this position. Famous last words. I could play maybe knight g4 next. Not sure. I'm getting ahead on the clock here. He's at 3 minutes and 25 seconds, and I'm at 5 minutes and 15 seconds. Okay, so he's attacking my queen. What if I just retreat, and I'm threatening knight g4, forking the rook and the queen? I do still have to sort of watch out for this pass pawn. I'm also attacking this pawn, which is nice. Okay, f5. Can I just take here? Threatening, I think, queen to d1 check, which should force queen to g1, and then I'll trade queens and just be up a rook. Oh. No, he can play rook to e1. Oh, okay. Well, he decided to resign. So, yeah, I was thinking about knight to g4, but then if I played knight g4, he would have that same... no, this was a long game. He would have that same tactic with the bishop on the diagonal, and so he could play like queen g1, threatening mate if I move the knight. So, all right, an interesting game. My opponent just made some missed a tactic early on in the game and went down a piece, but okay, he fought on and tried to drum up some play on the king side, but I think my defense was adequate, and so dropping another rook there, and yeah, so all right, hope you guys enjoyed that game, and we'll see you next time.